I've got to tell you about my grandmother, Belva Call. She was born in 1911 in Tucson, and everybody said all along, all my life, that she had the gift of discerning spirits. And when I was little, I didn't really know what that meant. Although my mom eventually told me that that meant that you could never lie to her. Don't even try. Of course, that meant that was the very first thing that I did try to do. At my aunt's wedding, and my brother and I were there, and there was this great big pool. It was this beautiful house up in La Jolla. Anyway, we were hanging out by this pool, and my brother said, "Hey, check this out. It's gonna be awesome. Wait right here." My brother Paul was 8. No, I didn't know what he was gonna do before he did it. And if I did, I was only 5. I was too chicken to tell anybody. Paul was mischievous. You could kind of say that he was sort of like Dennis the Menace, only he disappeared for a little while. Next thing I knew, a gigantic dirt clod flew over the back of the house, or the side of the house, landed in this pool. Paul was only about 8, but he had a great throwing arm for a little kid. And this pool had all these little floating lotus flower plastic thingies with little candles in them, and there was a tidal wave, and a bunch of them flipped over and stuff. Who was it? You know who it was. You knew it wasn't me, though. I knew who it was. And I lied. I said, I don't know. Yes, you do. I remember once later, a long time later, she said of Lee Harvey Oswald, "I knew he was a patsy." After Grandpa Aaron died, Grandma Belva, well, she would say things to my mom and my uncles like, "When I'm gone in a couple of years, you're going to regret you said that." But when I was little, there was a story that I was continually told, or many times told anyway. When she was 5, and they grew up poor, they went out, I guess, prospecting or panning for gold.
Don't you love the way the mirror just put that shadow right across the middle of my face like that?
There was a creek that went down the front of their house, but that wasn't the place where they went. They went a little further away, and they found a nice place by a creek somewhere else. That was 1916. They didn't have a car. They had to pack up into a horse and buggy. So the family was down by the water panning for gold, and Belva was playing by herself. You wouldn't do that nowadays, would you? Anyway, so this 5-year-old's playing by herself, and this woman walked up to her, and she was wearing this beautiful blue dress, and she had long, sparkly blonde hair and a big sparkly ring on her hand. And she told Belva, "You need to get your family and get out of here right now." And so Belva went and told her mom and dad, and they believed. They believed the little 5-year-old. And they all hopped up back into the buggy and took off again. After a little while, it turned out there was a flash flood. They'd have been all rubbed out if they'd stayed there. Nope. They got a prophetic message from a spirit, and they left. Then, I wonder exactly what it was that Belva told them about her that made them believe her. I don't know. Anyway, they went back after the flash flood because, frankly, if you're into panning for gold, after a flash flood is probably a good idea. And they went down there and they found that there was a cemetery that had been hit by the flash flood. And the cemetery had some of the graves washed open. One of the cemetery graves had a tall woman with long hair. She'd been in there a while. But she was wearing a blue dress with a big sparkly ring on her hand. They reburied her, and they dedicated the grave. That is a little bit of what it means to be able to discern spirits. Hey, if you're one of my caller, card, and cousins who know the story better than I do, please put it in the comments for me. After Grandpa died, Grandma told me that she was just so heartbroken that she basically cried for nearly 2 weeks. Maybe it was 3. It was a while. It was quite a while of just crying all the time. And one morning, she was sitting in her bed. She looked up, and there was Grandpa standing at the end of the bed. And he smiled and shook his head at her. And she knew he was fine. And that was when she stopped grieving. and started looking forward to being with him again instead.